You already,
I went.
Commissioner Wilson.
I probably don't have much to say,
Okay.
but I do. We've already talked about it. I'm very pleased that we've gone up to $200,000 on our sidewalks. I really don't even know if that's enough, but, because that's where I beg to differ with everyone. District 2 is not an old part of Ocoee. We are an established part. Keep referring to the old parts of Ocoee. I consider us an
Well,
established
say
part.
which part.
No, just, well, my district is pretty much the more established
You're the middle group.
part of Ocoee. So I like to refer to it as established. If we put everything in that Commissioner Oliver wants, we're gonna be at the 7-point supermajority. So we gotta stay away from that. We need to stay closer to the 4.9 millage rate. I think if we need to tighten our belts, we need to tighten our belts. Simple as that. But I do believe that we have to concentrate on areas that what our residents want. Sidewalks, streets. That is number one. Yes, we can give you all the wonderful activities to do in Ocoee. We have some wonderful activities, but when it comes down to it, what do you call me and complain about? Sidewalks, streets, and our garbage. And that is, and again, I've already said I don't want to shave any money off of public service. We all know we have a great public service departments, and when you dial 911, you want them there in minutes. Not taking money away from them and have them further away. You want them there. And that is one thing, when you look at people who came in from the unincorporated areas of Orange County, came into Ocoee, what did they get? They got fast service. Our police were right there close to them. I know that we're dispatched by Orange County, but we have, again, great public service. So,
Orange County for fire,
Orange County for fire.
Winter Garden for PD.
The Winter Garden, okay, but we're not traveling from the other side of Disney to come up here to serve us. Let's see if I have anything else that hasn't been hit yet. I am concerned, I don't want to see our youth traveling outside of the 3-county area. I don't think our citizens should be paying to send our youth to Tallahassee, our youth council to, when we go to Florida League, and as we're going this weekend to Hollywood, I don't think it's necessary. I learned my basic work right here, sitting up here. And I would hope that they could follow the same. Steve, could you tell us, or Rob, maybe instead of dragging Steve all the way up here, what streets do we have, I didn't see it listed in the 22-23
I
budget.
don't have the list, Steve, you have the list with you.
Streets have been increased to 1.5 million from 800,000, which I'm hoping we're going to see, not all of them, but we'll see a dent. And I know prices have gone up, so.
We have I think it's the Reflection subdivision off of Clark. We have Adair, Llewellyn, and Old Winter Garden Road. Those are currently on the pre-service service.
Good. How about Montgomery?
No, Montgomery is
You
not
need to
on.
put Montgomery on there.
We don't have that funded at this point.
Well, let's be looking at that, because, I mean, I have some streets that have been with us for quite a long time in Ocoee that some of them had waited about 30 years to be resurfaced. So we have made a dent, but we've got more, but I know we only can do so much.
And unfortunately, we've been very aggressive with the 30% increase that producers have been telling us about. We've counted that in our budget, so it kind of limited us on what we could cover.
And I would truly like, I mean, I know we're talking, and this is just what we're doing right now, is talking regarding the traffic calming. We've got issues. Llewellyn is like a racetrack along with Orlando White Road. I mean, as time goes by, the traffic on there is not going 30 miles an hour, nor either road street. So I'd like to see how we could be a little creative. I know speed bumps are not always the answer, but how we can be a little more creative there, if there's something in the budget we could do to
Speed signs.
slow them down. Speed signs? Well, we have a few speed signs out there now, it's not doing, I mean, and the police are out there, but again, you can't be out there 24 hours a day.
Is there a way to put speed bumps up on the Llewellyn from where you come off the curb and go towards the Little League field, a couple of them? Because that's where the football teams and the youth organizations all play ball and sports.
We can look at the area, I mean, anything's possible. Is it the best idea there? Is it something where maybe if you think of Gotha Road, if you go down into there, they have those narrowing things, some of the traffic counters are proposing at Hackney Prairie. You could do something along those lines, slow traffic as opposed to send them launching through the air. A little bit better.
Well, we'd rather not launch them in the air. I think that's all I have at this point. I know I'll probably be coming back during our public hearings as we go along, but those are some of the top points that I found when I looked at the budget. Thank you.
Mr. Branson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to congratulate and say good job to the city staff for having a healthy fund balance. I know it's not easy working with money, but I also understand that when you're working with tens of millions of dollars, it's easier than working with 600,000. So I get that part. And lowering the millage is also a good job, and all the annual pay enhancements. I think we're looking at some stuff that some things I want to talk about is employees matters, such as what are the raises for this year?
The general employees, 5%, and the lowest level general employees could be from 5 to 7.5 to maybe even a little more, depending on the rate they're making right now. We're trying to get everyone up to the $15 minimum. I think right now, if you look at it after this budget, if we go through with raises that we have proposed, all the full-time employees will be at $15. There possibly are 2 or 3 that were changed from part-time employees to full-time employees. They had job descriptions that were typically a part-time employee job description. We have to address those some point in the next year and try to get them up there also. That's what we're looking at, a $15 minimum wage.
Okay. Now, I think what I'm going to be talking about is I think it's actually germane, because I was talking with some employees, and several of them was asking how much their raise was going to be this year. I said, that's to be determined. But also I said, I tried to educate them on running the city. So I don't know if you have these numbers, but one of the questions I have for me to you is, what's the percentage of our employees that actually participate in our 401? Do we know that?
Well, we have defined benefits, 100% for our defined benefit plan. But the 401, if I had to guess, I'd say 15% from some of the numbers I heard before.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I talked to them about, is that when you raise your pay, the city also has it's more money the city has to put into those funds as well. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And that's something that I think the employees needs to be better educated on, so they can understand that it's not that we don't want to give them a raise, it's that it's not magic. The money has to come from somewhere, and so that's something that I want to make sure. Now, let's talk about police. I see we got a sergeant coming on. I think you mentioned something about that, and 3 officers.
Yes, sir.
Chief, come on down. I'm going to be talking about your area, please. From the microphone. I'm going to be asking you questions. Chief Pacenzi, as you make it to I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to try to carve off 10 more seconds of my time here. I see we getting 3 officers. What will be our strength after that? Is that? I saw it somewhere, but.
You talking about your total strength, or department
For law
staff would be 100, would be 109.
Sworn.
Sworn, okay, which is good, which tells the public that we're growing as an agency, police agency as well, so that's important. Now, I do see on here where we have a purchasing agent, or a purchasing assistant. Now, this may be, I don't know who's gonna be able to answer this question, but it reads here that position is gonna be funded by ARPA.
Yes, sir.
We need an additional purchasing assistant because we have $14 million in projects that have to be accomplished over the next 5 years, which puts a big burden on our procurement department. So the purchasing assistant will assist in those procurements for the ARPA projects.
Okay, so is that a,
It is a grant-funded position, and the position will terminate when the grant is over on the project, so 2025.
okay, so it's, okay, that's one of the questions I have. I have a bunch of questions, I won't go through all of them, but I have a bunch. I'll ask one of the questions I had. I see we're losing some folks. Down on page 11, are you having, do you have this? Page 11, down under planning, at the bottom of the page, about halfway down that column, we have a planning economic development manager. Is that an add-on position, or is that a position that we changed another position into? Planning. And how is it funded?
Commissioner, that you'll see there is a contract position as it is currently served in that capacity now. You're looking at the org chart.
Right.
Yeah, it has a economic development manager contract.
So it's this contract for a period of time?
Yes.
3 or 5 years or something like that?
Actually,
It's just that, yeah,
Okay, so for the record, that's just a contract position. So it's not a position that's permanent.
correct.
When the contract ends, it ends. All right? Okay. We talked about, this is gonna be for Steve Krug, Director Krug, sir, please. And this probably is gonna be for every director of the city, but this is important that I talk about it, because just recently we had a tree that fell across the road, on Ocoee Poplar. And first of all, I know your teams are very, very short-handed. I don't know if the commission have considered this, but what are we doing as far as getting people on board, hiring, maybe providing incentives for hiring? Because right now, we're asking people to come on board and work in 100-degree weather, and it's probably difficult to find them. So we have to incentivize them to come work for the city. Are we looking at some ways to do that? And is that what we currently budget?
I think the main way we're doing it is making sure we have a $15 minimum wage, and that's one of the things that we've talked about when we do get employees, to get prospects to fill out applications, is we tell them you're not going to get cheaper family health care, and you're not going to get a better defined benefit pension. And we've talked about before how we have to step it up on those types of things, and we come up with circulars and pamphlets, and a lot of times, unfortunately, when you're dealing with 20 to 25-year-olds, they don't really think about paying $250 a month for health insurance here versus $900 somewhere else for a family plan. And so it's tough, but I think being able to advertise these jobs at $15 will help.
Right, and I agree with that. However, we still need workers, right? We still need workers. So how do we make it sexy to come work for the city of Ocoee?
well, who wouldn't want to come work for public
Yeah,
works? The best department in the
Well,
city.
please, this doesn't include you. I know everyone is chomping at the bit to come work with you. But we need, maybe some, maybe a hiring goals. Have we considered that?
I think we've actually done it before in some of the different departments. It's been several years. We don't have anything in the budget to cover that, but we can try a bunch of different things. It's just a matter of funding.
Right, because as I drive around the city, not just my district, I see waist-high grass. I see trees that need to be trimmed back, I see all kinds of work that needs to be tended to, but unfortunately, the streets teams are short, 70%. They can't get at it, and they're working overtime, they're working on Saturdays to get these things done because they're short people. We need to get people on board in the city. So
Agreed.
I don't know if the commission would be open to having something like that.
I got a question. Do we subcontract any of that work out? Road work, road crews where we may have, I guess there's a lot of, I guess, landscaping and lawn care services. Do we subcontract any of that work out?
Oh, yeah, we have actually 2 different contractors that we use. A lot of the right-of-way maintenance is done by one contractor. And are we doing all the ponds ourselves, Steve, or, okay, so we're doing some of it ourselves. We have 1 or 2 contractors that do a lot of right-of-way maintenance for us.
What would the cost be bringing on another sense? Sounds like we just don't have enough contractors as well.
The thing is, once we get up to full strength, then, you know, we have contracts. So I don't know that, I know it's, right now it looks really bad. There's complaints every July and August. We cannot staff for 4 cuts every month of the year because the guys would be, and gals would be sitting around doing nothing from November through February. So we always get complaints in July and August every year when we're full staffed, when we're down on staff. It's just now we're down on staff and it's raining every day. So, you know, we're always trying to play catch up. It's like right-size staffing is what we're trying to do. We could possibly look at, you know, having some of the, you know, the contractors we're using aren't necessarily doing like bush hog work. We do that stuff. They do more of a finish type thing on a more frequent basis. We've talked about all these things, and you know, I wouldn't doubt if as soon as we hired another contractor, we found that full staff again. So we do discuss it all the time. We're trying to figure out all the different options.
Is there such thing as pay-as-you-go as far as a blanket contract will allow a contractor to be paid based on the work that they perform or the work that they do as opposed
Yeah,
to...
I think the other thing with that, Commissioner, is, you know, constantly as far as compliance, you have to have somebody following them around and verifying everything. It's really hard to do that.
Yeah, well, and I bring all these up because we're doing a lot of beautification of our city, streetscapes, obviously in this brand spanking new city hall, and we want our city to be indicative of the direction in which we're headed. But some areas of the city, you would think we're out in the country, and so I don't know. We got to figure out something, and maybe, like I said, maybe we have to take another look at incentives.
Yeah, it might be time. I mean, it's been a couple of months now. We've been down significantly. We kept thinking this is just, you know, this is going to go away in a month or so, and it's just not. So if we can come up with human resources and public works and see if we can come up with some type of bonus program or something like that.
Is that something? Is that
We've done it
something
before.
bonus that needs to be budgeted for this?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at it between now and when we come back.
So I guess we need a consensus maybe. I don't know if we need a consensus from the commission to have them look at that. Have them look at the bonus, time bonuses and incentives to bring people on board.
I think that'd probably be a good idea if you could get, see if all what the other companies are doing, if any other cities, maybe find out if any other cities are doing the same thing.
Right.
So we're competing here, you're right, because we're competing here with Winter Pocket, Windermere, Claremont, all the, and Orlando that pays.
And unfortunately, where we're seeing the results in the right-of-way maintenance and that type of thing, it's our least popular job too. It's just being out cutting grass all day and 98 degrees and humidity and rain. It's just, it's not something we get a lot of requests for.
Some of that outside stuff, the citizens probably don't know this, but a lot of it's county. The county's not coming out and mowing the places where people think it's ours, it's the county.
Right, we got the county, we also have Orange County Public Schools. That's, you know, I get a lot of these calls because of the elementary schools, of course, because of the high school. And of course, they're saying the same thing. Oh, yeah, we're short-staffed, but we have to figure out a way. This is just a question for my own education. This is on the utilities, on page 15. It says it's a water conservation. Is that a misspelling or is it? Where is it? It's on the first, under wastewater.
It is misspelled.
Okay, enough said. I thought I was gonna learn something today. Yeah. Some of the questions I have, I'm gonna touch base with the city staff. Public Works. There's a lot of projects on the Public Works, page 19. Are these prices on there, are these for in-house budgets, or is this something that's going to be farmed out? For the maintenance operations?
Some, Commissioner, some of those are in-house, some will be contracted. It's a combination. It's a combination.
Okay.
Can I,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I ask you, Steve, can I ask you a question? Lakeshore Center roof repair, $43,000.
That's where,
How old is that building?
years, there's a couple of places where.
The question I asked.
There's a couple of places where the roof is not sealed and, just kind of a design thing. We're gonna take care of it, make sure it's not gonna be a problem.
We're hoping it's not that
Yeah.
expensive there, but there are some recurring.
I felt, I looked at the truck.
Same thing we had with the fire station down the road, right after it was built, we had some recurring water intrusion, I remember.
Yeah.
Could you fix the clock while you're there?
No,
Okay, Tom, because I bring that up, and because I was in the Withers McGuire home this past weekend, and I noticed there was some water damage and some of the wood on the outside. I don't know if that was something that's in the budget or I didn't see it, but.
I think that's up under operations. We have money in there for the wood replacement, because we're gonna be doing that definitely.
Yeah, because it wasn't raining that day, and all the wood was just completely wet, dry running, so. Getting educated. Okay, vehicles for the police department. We got a lot of vehicles we're purchasing. I see it. There's 5 vehicles under vehicle replacement. We have a pretty sizable budget for vehicle replacement. And the reason I ask that is because some places the vehicles are $30,000, other places they're $60,000. They just read F-150. Is that because they're being outfitted? Is that the additional
yeah,
cost?
can you give me an example of like which one you?
And I'm looking at page 21, it's there's an F-150 for similar replacement down, this is for building, it's 59,600, page 21, second box down there, far right hand column. It's $60,000 for that vehicle.
Yes, we are replacing our oldest F-150 in the building department. It is an old, worn-out F-150 extended cab truck with a new version. So that's the reason for the replacement.
Right, but
But the cost, I'll have to,
I'm looking at other places in the budget where F-150s are 40,000.
The extended cab, I'm not sure if those are four-wheel drive or not, but, and then some of the upgrades for the code off or building inspectors to work in the vehicle, that's what's bringing up the price.
So we still do use the state or the sheriff's bid to get the best price for it. And, you know, we're not doing, you know, not that they put CD players in anymore, but we do get a fairly basic package.
Page 22. Look at page 22. Page 22, under street operations, down there on that, at the bottom of it, it says vehicle replacement. That F-350 is $20,000.
That's an additional 20, the two vehicles there first vehicles were included in the current year's budget. We weren't able to purchase them because the manufacturers closed out their windows for ordering, and the price has gone up. So this is to address the additional cost to order them this year.
It's really tough getting vehicles right now, too. They're ridiculously expensive.
And the reason I'm bringing some of this down in the weeds is because we're looking at other projects around the city. We're talking about spending $40,000 over here, $100,000 over here, and then I'm looking at some of these replacements, and I'm like, I don't know, there's a F-250. $84,000.
Don't look at the price of police cars then.
That's actually.
No, that's in works.
That's a crane truck. It's for part of our sign. It has a crane on it.
Okay.
And it's a utility bed truck.
Yeah, because the only thing I see is F-250. I don't see what's that. So like I said, there's a lot of things that I'm looking at in this budget. I went through it. I see this, I'm talking to you offline, and it's a fun issue. And travel expenses. Oh, this is one that I didn't understand. Election expense.
You have to have an election next year. What is this, number 40 or 50,000? Yeah. Very expensive.
Ouch.
A lot of it's contracted with the
County.
supervisor of elections, right? Yeah, a lot of it's a big check to the supervisor of elections. It's like some costs, some local costs.
And then the rest of the stuff, I can discuss at the next meeting. That's all I have.
Rob, do that. Oh,
I'd like to undo everything we just did.
yeah. All right. The things I brought up earlier in the process when we first started, my part was the yard. We talked about the yard waste cleanup, which I think we discussed and figured out. Sidewalks, which we have got to fix. And I'm not saying your area's old, though. I'm just saying that the old, if you're living in Ocoee, you know up on the hill is above Silver Star Road. Those areas up in there, just take a ride if you want to see why. But even in some of the newer ones, it's our fault because it required, back in the days, maybe before you got here, in the old planning days, we put trees, we made them put oak trees in places where they probably should have never put them. And now they're coming back to homes, so we got to get rid of them and redo them. And that's probably some of the problems we got with sidewalks, because then we have to remember to go back and fix them when we tear them up. Because some of, I found one of them had been out for 2 years. That was a mixture between two different departments. So we have got to fix sidewalks for the young people, the children are out playing, riding, walking and doing things, and senior people, like a couple of us, walk. If you hit those things, you're going down and you're going to get hurt. So those are the things we've got to fix. I've got one other one here I want to bring up. Nobody brought it up, and I want to do it. Reduction of commission-related spending. What I want to do is cut out, in the years past, they voted to put, when we go on a trip, like we go down to South Florida this week for the convention, our spouses are allowed to go and pay. If you were flying somewhere, their tickets paid for also. Or if you're buying dinner, their dinner's paid for. The only part that doesn't really matter is when you stay in the hotel, you hope you're going to get to spend it out with your wife. Sometimes might not. But I want to do away with that. I want to cut out that spouse participation part. If it's not fair, if we talk about wanting to save money for the citizens and put it into the citizens, I'd rather take that money and put it back toward the citizens in their process to do it. Because if I take her, if I want to fly somewhere for a convention, I can pay for her part. We get our part paid for. And at the room, you don't have to pay for it. You got to pay for the food and pay for the plane fare. So that's part of the deal. So what I would ask get consensus tonight, if everybody's going along with that.
I wanted that 20 years ago, and as a resident sitting out there, I thought we should get rid of it then. And I just will say that the city has never paid for my husband. Food, we always separated, everything we separated, but I think it's something that we should, I'd rather see sidewalks than that money. I agree with you 100%, thank you.
So,
Okay, so we can move it toward the 100,000 for the cultural events, right?
Just a quick note, unless you reduce the travel budget, it's not going to affect the millage rate.
cultural,
Wishful thinking.
Eric? So, in saying that, that's what I think. So the consensus is it okay to do that?
I am.
All right, so we say that's gonna go.
The city manager had a comment.
Yeah, the only comment, so you still each have, you still have that bucket of money to travel with.
That's still up to.
Well, and next year, and this year, so
I
I
would
guess what I'm
say it-
saying is,
All right, I would say
it's not gonna make any difference.
start at January 1st.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying, Mayor, because you each have an account for travel, but you don't want to change that, you just want to change the rules for using that. So we could change,
That's right.
we go ahead and we change the resolution, there's no additional dollars to spend on something
No,
else.
we're
just
taking- we're gonna
restricting those
save
funds
money.
more. Right.
But I would say start that and use this in January
We
1st.
have to do a resolution for a regular meeting.
Not to do what he's talking about, you know?
Right, but it doesn't involve any reduction in
No.
funds, it just makes the policy more strict.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I don't.
So there'll be a future
I will
reduction
tell
in
you,
funds, but nothing this evening.
and Commissioner Wilson probably knows this, there was a purpose for that years ago because, I won't say it, but there was a reason for that because there was a person who didn't have the money to go. That's part of why that came about. So that's a long time ago, so could have done it before.
All right, we can bring that resolution back, and
All right.
y'all can implement the start.
Just the
Bring
facts,
that.
you don't get to buy them there, and you don't get to pay the claim, traffic. So that, being that, I really, so, just to talk to the citizens about the money, there's $72 million in the general fund for this year, 72 million. That's not counting what the expensive money and the money we get for impact fees and all that. Just in the general fund is 72 million something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so just, I read in Facebook, my wife don't let me read it very much, but I do read it. The other stuff she don't let me read at all. But I will explain to people, public safety is the biggest part of what we do. Public safety is where we protect the citizens, protect their children, protect their lives, and protect their town. I read in Facebook all the time of this comments made about the money we spend and we don't spend, or about we don't give. Listen, we spend $7,658,271 on police, which is great. We need to do that because we need that protection. That's not counting the benefits. The benefits that go along with that is $10 million, comes up to $10,221,155. If you go to the fire department, which is smaller, there's where we got a problem. We give them what we can afford to pay for citizens. The citizens, if you look at the benefits, they're making their benefit, their thing is $4,500,000, and it comes up to $6,219,000 with the benefits. We get a lot of flack over on what's up, or these things about our pay scale for these. If you check, come get them this public record and see what they make. And we have some people that don't make it up here, and Rob and I talked about it, they're trying to fix that. You could go to McDonald's and get more money than the guy on the lawnmower mowing the side roads. That's where we gotta fix stuff like that. But I just want people to understand, I get tired of reading this stuff on Facebook about, not Facebook or whatever it is, about the salaries on this public safety. We can't up your taxes past that. I don't think it's right to citizens to add more money to your thing. You're having a tough time out there, I know I am, with the rates from my power bill went from, last summer it was 190, this summer it's 325. So I know everybody else is having problems. So we pay good money to our employees in overall, but really the good part about it is the benefit package. They don't want to look at the benefit package when it comes to some of these others. And the benefit package is insurance, where your family has got insurance. We have our own medical facility here that we all can use. All our employees and their family can use our medical facilities. You don't have to go pay co-pays. You get medicine free. So it's a great benefit for our employees. So it takes a lot into what all this stuff goes on. And we still have probably more money in reserves. I don't know if we want to tell them how much we got in here, but we got.
We already did.
Yeah, I know. I didn't take a call though. But we have more money in reserves, probably more than any other city around there our size. So that's a good thing. These gentlemen and these people have done a great job with our budget process, with our city, to keep it good. And look what has happened in our downtown over the last couple of years. Last 5 years, this place has really changed. And you're going to see a lot more changes in the next 5 years with what's happening downtown. So we're finally going to start having a downtown, maybe not like Winter Garden, but it's going to be a downtown with things that you will like. Restaurants, food, and people living down here. So just to tell you that the millage rate went down. We started 9 years ago, seven since I've been on the mayor. We started going down from 6 something, now we're down to 4.95. And that all comes down to the employees making this place work, making it do. And we appreciate it, Rob.
Thank you.
And the finance department,
It's a whole team.
Greg Shedrick, all our staff members, all our directors are all doing a super job in making do. I know, Steve, I call you every day just about, and I know you get tired of hearing me. But when citizens call, I'm going to call and try to get their problem fixed. And we appreciate what you do, all of it. And we really appreciate the citizens that go along and see what we do in the city. We want to make sure that we protect you and make sure your streets are safe and make sure your sidewalks are fixed. And have a great place to live in this city. So what else do we have to do tonight?
Mayor, I think as staff, we've heard the concerns, and I don't know if we're going to have any answers by next week, which would be our second
Do we
workshop.
need next week?
I don't know that we have anything
Well,
different
now
to tell you next week.
now
I
it comes
think
to public
over the next month, I'd probably take a lot of what you've said tonight and find some funding, ways to fund those. I don't know that we can come back next week and say everything's been funded. And let's move
I
on
would
to
ask
that.
consensus of the commission, we don't need next week when we need a public hearing.
The
That's where we
17th.
get down. Everybody's pretty much said what they want to do and what we're going to do. So is it okay with the consensus that we come back for the public hearing? That way the citizens get to come and we'll have
And
discussion.
if you all want to check in with me and see where we are over the next couple of weeks, feel free and let you know if we found any creative ways to fund some of these things or move dollars from.
Maybe you can send us a proof update on where the funds after tonight, what we come up with. All right?
So we're-
Then,
Yeah,
is
we
it
still
okay,
need
then
to-
consensus with you, Commissioner?
Yes, it's okay, but I just want to make sure I have some clarification on the first items for the reflective park. We were actually going to get some information back again from the city attorney. Is that what we're talking about before we would allocate anything to?
I'd recommend, since we have a meeting next
On the
Tuesday,
cemetery?
since we have a meeting on Tuesday, why don't we ask that
Yeah, next week.
he'll be here, we can get it right from the horse's mouth with his recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get his recommendation by the 16th, we have our first commission meeting there. All right?
Yeah.
All right, so, well, next, when's the public hearing?
17th, well,
September the 15th will be the public hearing at 6 o'clock. And then we'll make the votes on it. So if you want to come here, be here, and you get to speak if you want to speak.